The most powerful secret of discipline and focus is not hidden in complicated systems, nor in the latest productivity apps, and certainly not in motivational speeches that disappear as quickly as they arrive. The real secret lies in something so small, so deceptively simple, that most people dismiss it immediately. 1 minute, just 60 seconds. In Japan, there is a concept known as Kaizen, the art of continuous improvement. At its core is the idea that small actions, repeated consistently, are capable of building great transformations. From this philosophy, a technique was born that many call the 1-minute method. At first glance, it sounds trivial, almost laughable. How could a single minute make any difference? And yet, this small slice of time carries within it a profound force, one that can reshape not only your habits, but the way you relate to life itself. Here's why. Most people try to change their lives through massive commitments. They decide they will wake up every morning at 5 a.m., run 10 kilometers a day, meditate for an hour, read 50 pages, or completely change their diet overnight. For a few days, the fire burns brightly. But soon, fatigue, work, and distractions appear. And then the great promises collapse. The person doesn't fail because they lack willpower, but because they designed a battle that no human can sustain for long. The Japanese method offers a different path. It says you don't need to move a mountain in one day. You don't even need to carry a heavy stone. You just need to take a step so small that your inner resistance doesn't have the strength to stop you. That step is 1 minute. Think about it. What excuse could you give yourself for not doing something that takes only 60 seconds? 1 minute of exercise, 1 minute of study, 1 minute of meditation, 1 minute of writing. A minute is so short that your brain cannot argue against it. It seems ridiculous to say, I don't have a minute. And that's exactly where the power of this method lives. Before we go deeper, let me pause for a moment to invite you to subscribe to this channel, Kokoro. This space is dedicated to sharing practical philosophy, wisdom drawn from the East, but adapted for the challenges of modern life. Here you will not find empty motivational slogans, but clear tools to cultivate discipline, clarity, and purpose. If you want to build a life that is steady, meaningful, and powerful, then this is your place. Now, back to the 1-minute method. The reason it works is because it dismantles the biggest obstacle in human behavior: resistance. When you set a large goal, your mind is quick to resist. It says, I don't have the time, I'm too tired, I'll start tomorrow. But when the goal is just 1 minute, the resistance melts. The door opens. And once you step through that door, something amazing happens. That minute often stretches. A person who promised themselves just 1 minute of stretching may end up exercising for 20 minutes. A student who promised 1 minute of reading may continue for half an hour. The hardest part is not staying, it is starting. And this method ensures that you start every single day. But even if you never go beyond the single minute, you still win. Because what matters most is not intensity, it is consistency. A single minute every day is infinitely better than 1 hour once a month. The Japanese have always understood this truth. The calligraphy master trains a single stroke hundreds of times. The samurai repeats the same cut with his sword until it becomes part of his very body. The craftsman polishes the same surface over and over, not chasing perfection in a rush, but cultivating mastery through patience. The 1-minute method is simply a modern key to unlock that same ancient wisdom. And there is another layer to this practice. Each time you dedicate even 1 minute, you send a message to yourself: this matters to me. That small act is a declaration of identity. Over time, those declarations accumulate. You stop being someone who wants to exercise and become someone who exercises. You stop being someone who wants to learn and become someone who learns. This is how identities are reshaped, not by dramatic gestures, but by small, repeated commitments that rewire the way you see yourself. Many people look for giant breakthroughs, expecting life to change in a single dramatic moment. But the truth is that lasting transformation is built in silence, through invisible acts that no one applauds. The 1 minute method may look small from the outside, but inside, it carries the seed of something immense. A single step taken daily becomes a path, and the path becomes your life. That is why, when applied with honesty, this method doesn't just increase productivity, it changes your relationship with time, with yourself, and with the idea of discipline itself. Discipline is no longer punishment. It becomes honor. It becomes devotion. It becomes a form of freedom. The greatest challenge is not starting, it's continuing. This is where most people stumble. After the initial excitement fades, life brings its usual obstacles: long workdays, heavy responsibilities, emotional fatigue. The fire of motivation burns out quickly. And when that happens, many believe that discipline is only for people with extraordinary willpower. But this belief is false. The difference between those who stay consistent and those who quit is not raw strength. It is how they deal with their own inner conflicts. This is where the 1 minute method becomes a kind of medicine. The human mind is full of traps, and one of the most dangerous is perfectionism. We think, if I can't do it completely, it's not worth doing at all. If you don't have 3 hours to study, why bother opening the book? If you can't write 10 pages, why write a single line? This all-or-nothing mentality is poison to productivity. It tricks you into believing that small actions are meaningless. The 1 minute method destroys this illusion. It proves that value lies in constancy, not intensity. That spark you keep alive each day matters more than the flame you light once and let die. Picture a student who wants to learn a new language. For the first few days, he studies with energy, but soon work and life consume his schedule. He believes that unless he can dedicate an entire hour, he's wasting time. So he waits. Weeks pass, then months, and the dream fades. Now picture the same student applying the 1 minute method. Each day, he spends 60 seconds learning a word, repeating a sound, or reading a sentence. To perfectionists, that looks like nothing. But weeks later, he's still going. Months later, he hasn't abandoned the habit. And without realizing it, he has built a solid bridge toward fluency. Another powerful enemy is impatience. We live in a culture that worships speed. Fast learning, instant results, quick wins. But real growth is slow. The bamboo plant spends years developing roots underground before its first stalk even breaks the surface. Masters in Japan spend decades practicing one movement until it becomes natural. The 1 minute method trains us to respect this truth. It whispers, be patient, trust the process. The results will come when the roots are strong enough. There's also the problem of comparison. You look around and see others doing much more. Colleagues studying hours a day, professionals producing endlessly, creators publishing content daily. You measure yourself against them and feel defeated before you even begin. But the 1 minute method shields you from this trap. Because when your commitment is small, personal, and consistent, your measurement changes. You no longer compare yourself to others, you compare yourself to your own promise. Did I keep my minute today? If the answer is yes, you won. And science confirms what philosophy has taught for centuries. Neuroscience shows that repetition, even in small doses, strengthens the brain's neural pathways. The brain doesn't care much about how long you spend in one sitting. What matters is how often you come back. Learning and habit building thrive on frequency, not intensity, which means a single minute practiced daily can create more lasting change than occasional bursts of effort followed by weeks of inactivity. Of course, resistance will appear. The first voice you'll hear is the one that says, "This is useless. A minute doesn't change anything." That voice belongs to the culture of big results only. But remember, this is the same culture that produces burnout, procrastination, and endless cycles of guilt. When that voice speaks, you answer. Consistency is more powerful than intensity. Another obstacle is boredom. 1 minute seems too easy, too small, too unimportant. But boredom is not your enemy. It's a sign that the practice is becoming automatic. And automaticity is the essence of habit. Think of brushing your teeth. You don't need motivation. You don't need discipline. You simply do it. The 1-minute method aims to turn your desired practices into something just as natural. You may also face external pressure. People might not understand. They may laugh and say, 1 minute? That's nothing. But what they don't see is that every great transformation starts in silence. Every strong tree began as a small, fragile seed. Every master once repeated the basics that looked trivial to others. What matters is not the opinion of the outside world, but the fidelity you show to your own path. The deeper you go with this practice, the more you realize it is not just about tasks. It's about identity. Every time you keep your promise, even if only for 60 seconds, you reinforce a message. I am disciplined. I am focused. I honor my commitments. Slowly, this message reshapes your self-image. You are no longer someone who tries. You are someone who is. This shift is far more powerful than any temporary burst of energy. Think of planting seeds. Each minute you dedicate is a seed hidden in the soil. At first, there's nothing to see. But day after day, those seeds put down roots. They grow quietly, underground, out of sight. And one day, without warning, the first green shoot emerges. From then on, growth accelerates. But it never would have happened if you had not honored the silent work of planting daily. The 1-minute method ensures that you keep planting, even when nothing seems to be happening. The truth is simple. It's not time that most people lack. It's not talent. It's not motivation. What most people lack is a method small enough to dismantle their excuses. And that's exactly what the Japanese discovered. By lowering the barrier of entry, by making the commitment so small that it cannot be resisted, they created a way to bypass human laziness, perfectionism, and impatience. So the conflict is not about your ability. It is not about your circumstances. It is about your mind's resistance. Once you recognize that, you stop blaming yourself and start focusing on the process. And when you commit to 1 minute day after day, you realize that the enemy was never time or talent. It was the illusion that change had to be big. What happens when you live by the 1-minute method is not just a change in your schedule, but a change in your identity. At first, it feels like a trick, a small commitment designed to lower your resistance. But over time, something deeper begins to shift. The person who reads 1 page a day becomes someone who reads. The person who writes 1 sentence a day becomes someone who writes. The person who moves their body for 60 seconds a day becomes someone who exercises. It no longer matters how much you do. It matters that you never break the chain. And as that chain strengthens, you begin to see yourself differently. Identity is the foundation of discipline. When you identify as a writer, writing becomes natural. When you identify as a learner, studying becomes natural. When you identify as someone disciplined, keeping promises becomes natural. The 1-minute method reshapes identity one day at a time. That is why its results are so profound. Many people waste years waiting for a dramatic turning point, the magical day when everything changes. They believe that one day they will feel the perfect motivation, find the perfect time, or unlock the perfect opportunity. And while they wait, nothing happens. But those who embrace small, consistent actions know the truth. Transformation is not a lightning strike, it's a sunrise. It begins slowly, almost imperceptibly, and then grows brighter until it fills the sky. The Japanese have a word, shokunin. It means craftsman, but it carries a deeper sense, a person who dedicates themselves with honor to their work, regardless of recognition. The shokunin does not chase quick applause. He polishes, repeats, perfects with quiet devotion. The 1-minute method is the shokunin spirit applied to modern life. You may not see results immediately. Others may not understand. But you keep your devotion, and with time the work blossoms. Discipline, when seen from the outside, looks like restriction. But when lived from the inside, it feels like freedom. Freedom from chaos. Freedom from guilt. Freedom from procrastination. That freedom begins with the smallest act of self-respect, honoring 1 minute each day. Now maybe you are wondering, but what if I never move beyond the 1 minute? Is that enough? The answer is yes. Even if you never go beyond 60 seconds, you will still have won. Because the purpose is not intensity, it is connection. That daily minute is proof that you are still connected to your path. It keeps the flame alive. And what often happens is that once you begin, momentum takes you further. 1 minute naturally grows into 10, into 30, into hours. But even if it doesn't, you've honored your promise. And that is the foundation of self-trust. The Japanese saying Kaizen wa chikaranari reminds us, continuous improvement is strength. True strength is not the loud explosion of effort, but the quiet persistence of constancy. The drop of water carves the stone, not through force, but through repetition. Think forward. If you begin today, what will your life look like 1 year from now? Not just in numbers of minutes accumulated, but in the kind of person you've become. More disciplined, more focused, more calm, more confident. Confidence is not built by grand gestures, but by small promises kept day after day. This is the final reflection. Life doesn't transform through giant leaps. It transforms through invisible steps, repeated in silence. The 1 minute method teaches us that you don't need the perfect time, the perfect mood, or the perfect plan. You only need one thing, to start here and now with what you have. And if you do it again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next, your future cannot remain the same. So here is my invitation to you. Choose something meaningful to your life. It might be learning, creating, caring for your health, or cultivating your mind. And give it 1 minute a day, just 1 minute. Without excuses, without pressure, without expecting instant results. Simply 1 minute. You will see with time that 1 minute is not small. It is the foundation stone of a new identity. And when that identity takes root, your entire life begins to shift. If this message has brought you value, make sure to subscribe to Kokoro. Here, we explore the wisdom of practical philosophy, discipline and self-growth, not as abstract theory, but as tools you can live by. And if you've stayed with me until the end, leave a comment to mark that you are part of this journey. Write these words: consistency is power. That way I'll know you didn't just listen, you committed.